Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Dorothy. You can find me here at nhastrologer.com. So today I want to talk about the coming week. I've been looking at this week for over a year, actually. Just knowing it's an election year, first off, that's always, that week of election is always a bit tumultuous, no matter who you are. Of course, this year has definitely got its challenges, and you don't need me to line them up for you. But when I look at this week, I feel like I'm going to take a break this week. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to help with the voting and, just do my best to stay in my own space, in my own place. And I recommend that we all do that. So, um, why? I'm an optimist, so I'm not trying to scare you or anything. There's plenty of astrologers out there that can do that for you, right? Let's look at the ephemeris. So what I see here is, on Monday and Tuesday and most of Wednesday with the moon in Gemini, of course, that is news, 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 just so much coming at us. And boy, oh boy, I mean, I unplugged a while ago. I read what I want to read from very neutral news sources so I can get information that I need, but I don't need any more information at this point in time. I know I don't. I can't imagine that you would either. But we are in overload, okay? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that is overload because that moon in Gemini. Now, what makes it a bit tricky is that Mercury is stationary to go direct on voting day, on election day. So that's on November 3rd, and that's at 10:50 p.m. So on East Coast time. So needless to say, Mercury is stationary, not moving anywhere. Mercury rules Gemini, the moon's in Gemini. So this is just a big cluster, of information, too much information, speculation, overload. So unplug. Check in once in a while if you absolutely have to. But if your nerves are on edge and you are just like really feeling the intensity of what's going on in the world right now, take a break. Absolutely take a break. A lot of people have already voted, and I'm voting on Tuesday, but I'm also working at the polls. I decided I wanted to get an inside view as to what it's really like. I picked the best year, right? In all my 60 years, it's the first time I ever decided I wanted to go do that. And now I'm like, oh, geez. But I'll report back if you're interested. So what do we get with Mercury stationary? So we can feel frustrated. And again, everything I've already said, all this information coming at us just way too fast and way too much. We can control it. Don't fall for it. Unplug. Turn off Facebook. Just connect with your friends. Take a break. This week is a really good week to take a break from too much information. So definitely work towards that if that is what it feels like for you. Now, I'm going to go through the whole week just when the moon in signs, because to me that's important, because it's like the stages of grief or any stages of some big changes that you have in your life. So with this election, the first 3 days of this week, information is overload. And then by the time we get to Wednesday evening, and it's just before 5 p.m. Eastern time, the moon enters Cancer, and the moon will stay in the sign of Cancer. I'm leaning over today. The moon will stay in the sign of Cancer Wednesday night, all of Thursday, and all of Friday. So while the moon is in Cancer, the next emotional stage is, it can be overwhelmed because, again, we're all, living through this very heightened energy at this point in time. So with the moon in Cancer, we are way sensitive. We're overly sensitive, and it is pushing us to our ragged edge. So if you're feeling that, again, figure out a way that you can nurture and take care of yourself in that time period. So if the moon's in a cardinal sign, it's going to be activating the other planets that we have in the other cardinal signs. So the first thing that happens is we have the moon square Venus on Thursday the 5th. And then also on Thursday the 5th, the moon will square Mars. So that means between, Eastern time, between 1:30, so between noon and midnight, just varying it for the United States time zones. the moon is at the midpoint of Venus and Mars. All right. Venus is at 10 Libra. Mars is, I think, like at 16 Gemini. I've got the chart right here. Let me go look, double check my info. Yeah, 15. Mars will be at 15 or 14. Either way. Let me come back. So we have that. And so what happens when the moon is squaring those? Well, it's squaring Venus, the moon in its homes, now these guys are all in their own rulership too. So they're all working in their own fields. The moon square Venus, that Venus in Libra is asking us to, that's the sweetest thing out there right now, asking us to stay very heart-centered and just really find that peace and that harmony and that balance inside of you. We may not find it outside, but we have got to find that seed on the inside. And when the moon makes a square to that, it could, the squares create a little bit of tension and stress. And so it could be that we end up feeling a bit stressed about how we're not getting what we need. And then later in the day, the moon will make its exact square to Mars. But simultaneously, it's at the midpoint in the middle of the afternoon between Venus and Mars, activating the masculine, the feminine Venus and Libra to take care and nurture and care for ourselves. The masculine, like that root chakra, is just about that self-focus and, taking charge and doing what it is you need. That can happen in a positive way or a very negative way. It can be very polarizing, or it can bring things together. All right, because Venus and Mars are nearing that exact opposition, and the moon is triggering that. In the sign of Cancer, we're a Cancer nation, there's going to be a lot of disturbances. But for you, it doesn't have to be that way. You have a heads up. So especially if you're watching this, so you're going to be able to know and how to find your own equilibrium, figure out what you need, and then take care of yourself. And that includes your family and those you care for. This is important. If you're hearing this early, I'm posting this on, what day is today? I don't know. Here we are, Friday the 30th. I'm a little late. I've had some stuff in my own world kind of go kaplooey, and I'm like, whew, it's been a rough one. I mean, I'm still here. I'm an optimist. I'll get through it. But, we all have to have a little breakdowns once in a while to get through some stuff. This emotional stuff is, again, everybody is like, not everybody, but almost everybody I know is like at their max. And now we're not even done. November is a very tumultuous time in the astrological calendar. So boy, oh boy, and we're all feeling it. But again, bring it back to you. Bring it back to what makes you feel good, what helps you feel solid, right? And that's when we get to Friday, November 6th, the moon every month makes its square to the cardinal planets or opposition or conjunction. And this is when the moon in Cancer is in an opposition to the cardinal planets. The planets Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto have been in Capricorn all year. They're the ones that have been creating all the disruptions. Not creating, they represent the disruptions that are happening here on the planet, how governments and foundations are really, really shaky. If your foundation was shaky, you would definitely know about it now. This year is the year of figuring out what makes you feel solid, what's important to you. And so once a month, when we have this moon opposite Jupiter in Capricorn, Saturn and Pluto all in Capricorn, when it's opposite that, it still gives us that, if we're emotionally charged, which we're going to be this week again, because the election is going to stir up a ton of what. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. I wish we weren't on any sides of the fence. I wish we could just work together as a nation. But I'm a Gemini. I want us to work together. I see both sides of the story, and it's like the Libras. I'm not sure I can make a choice. So where can we, where are we in our own structure and our own foundation and our own, figuring out what's important for us? Well, Friday, some of us will feel overly emotional. And when the moon makes its connection to Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, again, we'll be able to figure out what's the next step for us. All right. This happens one more time in December when the moon's in Cancer and the planets have not shifted yet into Aquarius. They do that at the end of December. So this is the next to last time the moon is going to trigger those planets in Capricorn, Jupiter and Saturn. Next to last time. So how do we want to work this? Look at what's coming up for you. and just see how you want to work it and what you can do to work it. All right. So there's that. And now the final stage for this week, we're going to look at the moon enters Leo. So, oh geez, hang on to your hats. The moon in Leo, when things are really riled up, can be very dramatic and overwhelming, and just, feeling very self-centered in a way. I mean, these are not the best qualities, but these are qualities that the moon in Leo embodies in a lot of instances. In a lot of instances. What else? So I lost my train of thought. So we're very dramatic. We're very self-focused. With all of the things going on, I don't see this week being calm whatsoever. So this can be arguments, Facebook arguments, social media arguments, the news, protests in the street. It can be because people are very emotional and very wound up, and so again, what choice do you want to make here? I'm pretty optimistic most of the time. I really am. But this is the way that it can play out for people who are just unevolved or very emotionally connected to what's going on in the world. All right. And none of this is bad. This is just how we are. We're humans. We really need to connect with what's going on. But I want you to think about it. Well, what can I do in my own world? So whenever we have that moon in Leo, we have a wonderful opportunity to focus on our children, focus on things that are fun and creative and that we're passionate about. So stick with that. Stay out of the rough edges. Know that there's going to be some. Hey, just this weekend, take your time and stock up for a few days. And I'm not saying panic. Stock up for a few days. So, if you don't have to go to the grocery store, if you're in an area that feels kind of edgy, then don't do it. Be ready for, all kinds of crap, but also be ready for the choices that you make. You can unplug. You can find ways to express your own creativity and the things that you're passionate about. If you want to know how this impacts you and you want to look at it personally in your own chart, because some of this stuff might have nothing to do with anything that's going on in your world. And plenty of people are like that. That's the types of readings I have. Most of the people are not overly political and are not impacted by what's going on outside. They want to know what's going on for me. Am I going to sell my house? Am I going to move? Is it a good time to change my job? That's my passion, speaking of Moon and Leo. So I can help you with that. You can reach me here. Come and find me on Patreon. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, everybody. Blessings.